every single person I was meeting while I was traveling was in one of three categories, and all of you are. You're either going through some sort of a life change. You're either getting married, or you're getting divorced, or you're trying to lose weight, or you're trying to quit smoking, or you're dealing with a parent who's aging at home with Alzheimer's or Parkinson's, or there's some sort of life change, or you've just started a job and been promoted, or you are thinking about pursuing your dreams. The other category of people are people who are thinking about making a change, talking about making a change, but have done nothing about it. And there's a huge category of those people that show up on January 1st. So you'll be able to see them loud and clear. And those are people who, there's a lot of talk, and there's a little bit of desire, but there's actually no action behind it. So there's people who, you have a feeling that what you're doing isn't quite right, and you haven't really done much about it. Or you have a feeling that this relationship isn't quite right, and you haven't done much about it. But that's the other category. And the third category are people who are helping other people through a change. So every single one of you is helping a friend, a colleague, a child, a spouse through some sort of a life change. Here's what's interesting. I was giving a talk about a couple of years ago, and I was talking about my three categories, and this one woman put her hand up. She goes, no, there's a fourth category. There's a fourth category. So here's the fourth category. The fourth category is all of you people who are waiting for someone else to change. Yes. You're waiting for your mom to change, and your dad to change, and your husband to change, and your boss to change. And that place of just sort of like someone else needs to change before me is very common. We tend to sort of look, and someone else needs to go through the change first. So that's what I noticed. The other thing I noticed was that, here's what I kept hearing about change. I hate change. Change is hard. I feel overwhelmed by change. I don't know how to start. I can think about it, but I have all these excuses in the way. I want my old life back, whatever that looks like. And I thought, this is amazing. Everyone hates change. And change is the #1 constant in life. How is that possible? And I thought, there must be a way to make change easier. There must. We're all going through it. I'd met and interviewed people formally and informally all around the world. I can promise you, someone going through a divorce here in North Carolina, you guys are experiencing the same feelings as someone I interviewed in China. We are so much more similar. It's incredible how this change is actually what sort of links everyone together. We're all going to get, our fair share of change. And what you're going to see is that the hardest changes you will ever make are not external changes. They're not. They're not leaving a job, they're not losing weight, they're not even leaving a bad relationship. The hardest changes you will ever make are changes in your identity. They're how you see yourself. I'm a business person to I'm a creative person. Those are the things in terms of what you say to yourself on the inside that are the hardest changes to go through. That's why it took so long for me. So here I am with my little obsession, and I thought, well, I love writing, so maybe I can just sort of write this in my journal. And I interviewed a couple of thousand people informally in my journal who were going through all these types of changes. And it's people who had just adopted, and people who had just miscarried, and people who had just lost a loved one, and people who had just been promoted and were feeling overwhelmed. It was really the whole spectrum of change. And I, with my antenna, I went looking for why you good at change and why is someone else having such a hard time? Why do some people struggle and some people get through losing a job, for example? Why do some people initiate a change and some people go ahead and just talk about it forever? So that's what I'm going to share with you, are these principles that I found through these stories of transition and transformation.